Dr. Maggie Schumacher, thank you so much for being with us here today. Tell us a little bit about your role here at the Museum of Natural History here in Bandera.
I'm the managing director of the museum, so I oversee the day-to-day activities and then plan for the future.
Yeah, so I understand you'll have a great event coming up here in October. Tell us a little bit about the Ring of Fire eclipse.
Well, and I'm really excited about this because I've never seen a ring of fire. And when I heard we were going to be in its path, I got so excited. I had a total eclipse of my heart. And we're really looking forward to it. With the event, it ties into our mission of education. And you couldn't have a more perfect alignment of our mission plus the education aspect of the eclipse.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about, your establishment here in Bandera. What a fantastic museum you have. Tell us a little bit about it.
We've been open for 7 years. The art hall has been open for the past 2 years. And we get about 10,000 people a year coming through, and we've had over 5,000 students come in on school trips. So we have a little bit of everything for people to come visit. And with the art hall, that even expands uh, what we offer.
You mentioned the eclipse tying in perfectly with your mission here. It just so happens that the apex viewing center for this eclipse is going to be right here in Bandera, and you all have a fantastic day planned for everyone that day. Tell us a little bit about the activities and the festivities that we'll have going on here that day.
What we decided to do, we're selling carloads of people, not individual tickets. And so they will have a reserved parking space that if they want to leave, they can walk out and go into town, but their parking place will be saved for them. And we have an astronomer coming who'll be set up on the patio with two different telescopes and one that's attached to a screen so that people can look at the screen and not hurt their eyes when the eclipse is happening. We also will be giving away the solar glasses. And the astronomer will be talking to people, going around asking them if they have questions.
Why is an eclipse a special event?
In my mind, and this would probably be a question for the astronomers, but in my mind, especially with the Ring of Fire, they don't happen as often, and it's harder, and they're in a wider variety of places, so it's difficult for people to get to them. And I think the Ring of Fire, from the pictures I've seen, is far more beautiful than the total eclipse. So that's, and to have both of the eclipses, this one in October and then next year, where we are in its path, is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect time for people that are watching this to start planning their trip to Bandera on the day of October 14th. What can you tell about people to get them here and to invite them to the location?
In addition to the eclipse, it's also the time when we have a lot of monarch butterflies and we have gardens out front which attract them, and also the hummingbirds. And if they stay after the eclipse, then they can take advantage of the different local Oktoberfests. So there's a lot that the area offers in October.
Yeah, it sounds very inviting, very appealing for families, for seniors, for children to come and learn, and they get to learn in conjunction with the eclipse. They get to have access to the museum for the day as well. Now, the museum is phenomenal. Tell us a little bit about the partnering, the pairing, and what the museum has to offer.
We have the natural history section, and the International Hall that we're in now begins that exploration. And then we have the Trail of Habitats that has 6 different dioramas showing different parts of the world and the animals that live in them. And all the backgrounds were painted by artists who were brought up from Mexico City, and they stayed here months working on them. So each diorama will take a person to a different location, and we try to teach, especially the youth, the idea of what a habitat looks like, how the animals blend in with it, how they cope with different predators. So it's a total immersion in different parts of the world.
Yeah, and how many people or truckloads are you expecting to come be here that day?
That's a good question. We're planning on 50 because we do have a limited parking space. But that also will ensure that the people who come will have a place and there'll be still room for them to walk around and pick out their best viewing area.
Yeah, and I understand this is a fundraiser for the event for
Yes,
the
it
museum.
is. It is.
Yeah, great. And where might some of the funds go to?
They would go to our educational programs. We're always trying to improve what we offer, especially to the youth groups that come in, but the general population also.
Okay, October 14th rolls around. The day is here. What are you going to do that day?
Probably run around like my head is cut off, but we have about 20 people coming in between directors, staff, and volunteers. And each one will have a specific location. And I'm thinking my job will probably to make sure everybody has what they need in order to get the job done.
Well, I can tell you're very organized, and I know that everyone's going to have a great day here, including all of the visitors and people who come to witness the spectacle, the celestial event. So, thank you so much for all that you're going to be doing to coordinate here. Yeah, you definitely feel the vibe out here to be very mythical, very celestial, very spiritual, even, with all of the animals here, with just the way that the walls are painted and the vibe you get here. It matches perfectly with the eclipse.
It really does. And even you can't see it now, but there are stars in the sky around the wolf area. I think that will, and with outside with the dinosaurs, it will really add to the event and be something that people will pass down to their children.
Yeah. And October rolls around, we're going to have perfect weather.
Well, that is in the hands of the gods, but we certainly will hope for that.
All right. And so give us some closing thoughts. If people are thinking about considering coming out for that day, why should they come?
First of all, it's a safe, comfortable environment they will be in. And we have something for everyone to do, from if they just want to sit and look to getting involved in the different tours, looking through the different telescopes. And so we really do have something for everyone so they can make the most of the eclipse.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for organizing. Thank you for all of your work that you do here. This is a first class establishment, and I know the event will be that day as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you.